Trusting that you all had a wonderful Thanksgiving and are off to a beautiful but chilly start to the holidays. So I am excited to take you on a tour, and I love this class. This is kind of something Taylor and I really designed about around all of our mobile applications. So it's just like the class says, a mobile agent, what you need to know on the go. So being able to work from anywhere. So with that, I want to introduce Taylor. Taylor was kind enough to help answer questions. We had over 100 people register for this class today. And so Taylor, you want to say hi to everybody?
Hi, good morning, everyone. I will be behind the scenes answering any questions, as Colleen mentioned, so she'll be running the class, but as you have questions, go ahead and use that questions section in your GoToWebinar panel. I'll be monitoring those, and then if I feel like it's something that needs to be shown again, or maybe a really great question for the whole group, I will interject to Colleen and ask her to answer or go over it again for you guys. So don't be shy. There's a big group today, and I will be there to help answer questions.
Thank you for doing that. I appreciate the mobile agent class is a little bit harder to teach because we go over a lot of products. So we're going to go over a lot of different things that you're going to want to have on your phone. And we're going to kind of bounce around a little bit from our laptop and showing you what you need to know because I kind of like to see the actual app as an agent. As an agent myself of 25 years, I want to see, how does the app respond? What is it going to look like? Is it going to be easy? So we're going to cover all of that. So we're going to start off kind of on what you need to know, and then we're going to jump over to the actual phone so that you can actually see it. What does it look like? How does it respond? When you're downloading the app, what's the symbol you're looking for? So we're going to cover all of that today. I love when we all get together and do classes, and why I'm saying that is because we are opening back up our hybrid classroom. So in January, you'll be able to either take your classes via webinar like you are right now, but if you'd like to come in and have an in-person class, maybe you're just one of those people who likes to meet other people and talk about ideas, then you can come into our classroom. We've just finished putting in some state-of-the-art cameras, and so I'm excited to have those live classes, as well as Taylor has some great new Con Ed approved classes. So if you're looking to catch up on some early Con Ed at the beginning of the year, she has a great Broker Advantage class coming up, as well as what you need to know about copyrights. All right, so let's get started. We're going to start off with what we're going to talk about today, because I'm going to actually show you some brand new things, meaning just released about a week ago. A lot of them Taylor worked really hard on. The listing activity report, we're going to take a look at that. But we're going to start off with the Kubacasa app. Then we're going to focus and shift over to the all-new Collaboration Center. If you haven't seen the all-new Collaboration Center, you're in for a treat there. Then we're going to talk about Paragon Connect, where it came from and where it is now. I know when it first came out, I have to be honest, I really wasn't a huge fan, but now I love it. It's come a long way in a short period of time. I'll give you a little history lesson on that too. We're also going to talk about the new Showing Time app. And I'm going to take you on a tour of reverse prospecting and the brand new price analysis tool. So we're going to cover all of that. I know it sounds like a lot. So feel free, again, if you have any questions, as we're going to kind of jump around a little bit, just throw those in your questions box, which is in that GoToWebinar panel. If you don't see the panel, I always get this question, Colleen, I don't see the panel, it's minimized. Well, actually, it may look like a little blue flower at the bottom of your screen, or it might look like a kind of an orange arrow over to the right. Just click that open, and in there you'll find that questions box. You can type those questions, and then Taylor, as she mentioned, will be answering those. Don't hold them all to the end. So as soon as you have a question, feel free to pop it right in there. All right, so where we're going to start today, let me just share my screen so you can actually see it. Where we're going to start today is Kubacasa. If you don't know what Kubacasa is, it is truly one of my favorite products. What it does is it saves a tremendous amount of time. I hate to date myself, but now that I'm old, I'll just tell you, 25 years ago when I got my license, I remember those huge long tape measures, and so you'd give your seller one end and you'd go to the other end, and it took forever to measure the house because your seller, of course, wanted to retell you all the stories in each room. And then, of course, we got a little more sophisticated. In fact, I think I still have one. Oh, yes. We had the little laser measures, you'd put them against the the wall, but quite honestly, if there was any light in the room, they were radically off. If you sneezed, it was off like a foot, and you had to write everything down. They just weren't very accurate. Of course, we got more sophisticated. We went to apps on our phone, which could measure, but you still got the measurement, but you then had to still write down which room it was, and you had to go through the whole house. Now with Kubacasa, you can measure every room by simply walking through your listing. On average, it takes between 5 and 8 minutes, and it literally is just walking through the house. It will measure each room. It will give you the total square footage, and I'm going to show you some brand new things that were just introduced into it as well. So Kubacasa means just that. If you kind of think of it, cubic meaning measure, and casa, the Spanish word for house. So it's just measuring the house, everything from the square footage right down to each individual room. They have added some even cool, like interactive floor plan or hotspots, they call them. So you can even take photos as you're doing your tour, and you can upload those. So it makes a very, very unique, almost 3D tour of the home, which we're going to take a look at in a moment. So Kubacasa was actually started by a company out of Norway. And the reason that they were looking to create a floor plan app is they noticed in Europe, 90% of the listings had floor plans. But here in the US, less than 10% had floor plans. You're probably wondering, well, 10%, well, most of those were either new construction or they were rentals. And so they saw a true need to make floor plans easier so that people could use them on every single listing. So of course, floor plans are going to shorten your time on the market. They're going to help bring the buyers in that are looking for that type of home. My father is getting ready to move to Oklahoma. And one of the things he said, it's very hard to tell, Colleen, just from the pictures, is this going to be a home that's conducive to our lifestyle? We want to be able to be in the kitchen and still, talking to guests in the living room. And it's hard to tell from some of the photos where things are really located. And that's really the beauty of adding in that additional floor plan. So not only can you see the photos, but you can see where the photos are actually located in the floor plan. We'll talk about more in the hotspot section in just a moment. So as you can see, when you create your floor plan, it will give you those room measurements. It'll show you ingresses and egresses. If you are an appraiser, it will give you the GLA appraiser. It's kind of like a grid if you're not familiar, but it will give you the appraiser GLA report. So it does so much. But what I really love is you can't screw it up. It's so easy. We're going to do a real quick tour just of my office so you can see exactly how it works. But as you can see here, it actually sketches it out. It will actually sketch which way the doors open, which way the stairs face, so all that crucial information. But one of the things that was different in Kubacasa versus the 6 or 7 other floor plan apps we tried was you could also do outside areas, which I thought was very unique. You couldn't in many of the other apps that we looked at. For instance, as you can see, there's a deck off the entry level. You could actually include decks, patios. If you have a pole barn or an outbuilding, it will, even if you have a pool in the backyard, it will add that into your floor plan as well. So that was something that was very unique. One, I think it was unique because it was so easy. And two, it allowed you to add those outside elements. So of course, this is going to help you stand out, generate more of the qualified buyers who would actually be looking for that type of floor plan, and then help reduce your time on the market. I'm going to skip through these videos, but basically in about 5 minutes, unless you have, now I do want to caveat this with, if you've got an 8,000 square foot home, it's going to take you longer than 5 minutes. I mean, I'm never that lucky. I always get the 2,500, 3,000 square foot model. So if you have a larger home, it may take you a couple more minutes, but all you're doing is you're seamlessly walking through your listing. As you go through, it's literally sketching each room. It even labels the rooms for you. But what I like is you can also go in and you can change those names. And why I think that's really helpful is maybe they've labeled it kitchen, but you want to showcase that there's a butler's pantry in the kitchen and you want it to be labeled that way. Maybe they've labeled it a laundry room, but you think it's more of a mud room going through and you want to label it that way. So you can actually change those room labels. I have to be honest, most of the time, I think what they have is fine, but every once in a while, you do want to showcase a certain feature in the house, and this allows you to add that room label. What you're looking at is kind of funny. It's a kind of an Easter egg. Actually, the gentleman here who's pretending to be an agent is the actual creator of this app. I love when they hide those little Easter eggs in there. And basically what you're seeing is he's opening the app. He's literally starting it by hitting the record button, and he's just walking through. Now, I will tell you one enhancement that they've already made is that you no longer have to turn your phone landscape. It used to be you had to turn your phone landscape to start your scan. You don't even have to do that anymore. All you're going to do is you're going to grab your phone, open up the Kuba Casa app. You're going to click Start My Scan, and I'll walk you through this in just a moment. And you're literally going to walk through every single room. I tell people, don't aim for the ceiling, don't aim for the floor. The easiest thing to do is think of where the baseboard molding would be. Stand between 1 foot and 3 feet away from the wall, and then start to continuously scan each room. So you don't want to have a lot of stops. So I think the hardest thing to do is really just prep the house before you start your scan. And what I mean is make sure you have if you have a walk-in closet, have that door open. If you've got windows, you want to have those blinds open. You want to have those window coverings open, because you want the person who's reading that scan to be able to identify what each thing is. So you don't have to painstakingly do that yourself. They'll actually do it for you. There's no training that's really needed for this. As we go through it, you're going to see it's very, very simple. It'll work on both Apple and Android devices. And the average turnaround time is less than 24 hours. I've gotten all of mine back in 12. They guarantee a 24-hour turnaround. And like I said, I've gotten mine back in 12. If you need a shorter turnaround, you can actually pay $11.50 and you'll have it in 6 hours. So they have a faster process. I got to tell you, usually if I'm listing the home, let's say it's 6 o'clock at night, by the time, let's say I get up kind of early, let's say it's 6 a.m. in the morning when you're going to put your new listing in, I usually have it already back at that point. So I do my scan when I first get there, get it right away, and then I can put the listing in first thing into the MLS in the morning with all of those room measurements. So super easy. But you'll see as we go through that, I'm going to skip through here. One of the other benefits of Kuba Casa versus some of the others was if you have a listing that has those curved walls, there's a subdivision over by me that has these beautiful long hallways, and they're all curved, and these winding stairways, which is beautiful. But if you've ever tried to measure it, it's kind of a pain. This really makes that much easier because it's going to do that for you. Again, it's actually using the walls when it's creating those measurements. As you can kind of see here, this is kind of a unique home. You've got the windows, which are here off of that Florida room or sunroom. And behind that, the agent walked out, and you can see there's a kidney-shaped pool and a little pole barn. So as they walk through, or she shed if you wanted to relabel it, as the agent walks outside, it's also capturing those images. I know, this is very odd. I'm not really sure why you would have an Airbnb in the shape of a shoe. Maybe if you had like a shoe fetish thing kind of thing, I don't know. But there truly is an Airbnb in Maine in the shape of a shoe. So imagine trying to create the measurements for this Airbnb would be a little tricky since almost every wall is curved. But as you're walking through, again, you're kind of aiming at the baseboards. It's using those wall measurements. And the nice thing is, even if there's some clutter, it's funny, both Taylor and I have pretty neat homes most of the time. When we started testing Kuba Casa, she was working on her basement. She had a lot of boxes in her basement, and I was helping my son do his candy drive. So we had boxes all over the living room, which is very unusual, but it actually sees past all of that. What it's doing is it's actually looking for the wall structure. So even if you have a listing that maybe has a little more clutter, it's actually looking beyond that, which is helpful these days because not every homeowner is neat and tidy anymore, if you know what I mean. All right. So what you need to know about Kuba Casa is there is no cost for the app. There is no cost for your scans. Kuba Casa really is a free product, but there's a couple things you do need to know. When I say free, They've made a couple of changes that you'll want to be aware of, because I love some of the upsells, and I do think that they are really inexpensive. Matter of fact, I think the average upsell is $11.50. I don't think you could even do a scan in most of the apps that we looked at for that. Now, if you decide you don't want to do the upsells, again, there's no cost for Kubacasa. There's no cost for the app. There's no cost for any of the scans. There's no monthly, nothing like that. You could use Kubacasa completely free today. But you do want to know this. If you go over 5,000 square feet, now, I never get those luxury listings. I'll use Gary Cheney on a call. He gets those fancy houses all the time. I'm always seeing him list these beautiful houses. So let's say Gary has a 8,000 square foot luxury home, then it's going to cost you $11.50. And there's a reason for that. This program, the reason it is so accurate is because it not only uses your phone's footage, and it uses what we call LiDAR, which is actually, if you've ever seen it, it kind of looks like, my son calls it the Spider-Man app. It kind of does this webbing along the walls, and that's how it gets that really accurate measurement. So with LiDAR, it's actually using the measurement from your phone to capture the size of the rooms. But it's also reviewed by a human. And that means if you accidentally double back through a room, there are some houses where, you walk into a room and you've got to go through the room and then back out that room, to go into the next room. That human is the one that's actually piecing that together to make sure that the square footage is right, to make sure that you haven't doubled back through multiple rooms. So not only is it capturing the accurate square footage and the room measurements using that LiDAR, but that human reviewing it makes sure that it's editing out any additional walkthroughs. Maybe if you paused for a moment and dropped your phone, things like that, they're able to actually go through that reel and make any adjustments to it. So that's where it becomes more accurate than a lot of the other scanning programs out there. If you go over 5,000 square feet, again, you're looking at $11.50. And again, it's because that human is going to have a lot more footage that they're going to have to review. They do guarantee a 24-hour turnaround. Again, I've gotten all of mine back in 12. You can change the room names. You can add your logo to it. You can even change the color schemes for your floor plan. So it really does make it easy to edit as well. So as I mentioned, if you just want the 2D floor plan as you're seeing, you can do that for $0. One change that they did make is if you want the total square footage, then you have that $11.50 fee. When I say the $11.50 fee, that actually bundles a lot of that together, meaning you pay $11.50 and you get the quicker turnaround, you get the square footage, all of that comes together. They do, like any other product, they have a lot of upsells that you can subscribe to as well. They even have something called interactive hotspots, which I am absolutely in love with, and I'm going to show you on my listing exactly how that looks. If you are an appraiser and you need that GLA report, which is kind of that second item that you see right here, that will cost you the $11.50. So basically, their upgrades are around $15, but you get a My Real Source discount, which means you get 20% off of anything that you order. So again, if it's over 5,000 square feet, it would normally cost you $15. It's only going to cost you $11.50 because you get the My Real Source discount. But what's important to know is you have to sign up and use My Real Source as your sign up. And I'll show you exactly how to do that. I kind of blow through some of these. They do have all kind of dollhouse views. They do have like, where you can do the walkthrough. There's a whole bunch that you can actually add on. One thing, if you are an appraiser, you generally need on your GLA report to have ingresses and egresses listed. It will label above and below ground for you. It'll do your staircases. I know I always get that question. They have to know which way the staircases face. It will do that as well. And I do like that you can actually change the color schemes. So very quickly, when you're looking at this diagram here, you can see that there are 4 bedrooms and 4 bathrooms without really having to look very far. I had a situation recently where the basement was 90% finished. And I didn't really want to call it a finished basement because, you know, when you work for the MLS, everyone will rat you out if you have that 10% that's not finished. So I wanted to basically show how much of the basement was finished versus that little 10% that was unfinished. And so what I did is I color coordinated all the finished area and then just highlighted again that unfinished area, and then I labeled it that. So instead of it all being basement, I had the finished basement part and then the unfinished. So again, by changing the names, you can actually use it to showcase things like that. All right, support. So we at My Real Source, and I know we have a lot of vendored MLS attendees on our call, meaning you might be with another MLS, you might be with the Upper Peninsula Association of Realtors, you might be with Midland, you might be with Saginaw, you might be with another MLS that we have a partnership with. And here at My Real Source, we support all of our products. And I'm happy to say I actually help out with tech support quite often myself. I'm happy to say that we do that because I hate it as an agent when you call with a question and they send you over to another company where you now have to wait on hold again, and you hope that you get someone from this country that you can possibly understand. It becomes kind of a nightmare with tech support. Meanwhile, you're like just trying to write an offer, right? You just need something and you need it quickly. So all of our products at My Real Source, we support, whether it's Cloud CMA, whether it's Paragon. We actually, most of our staff are realtors, and we support that because they use the products. They know the shortcuts. They know how to help you get from point A to point B in sometimes multiple products instead of sending you to multiple different companies. That's always so frustrating. Kubacasa, we can support general questions, but what makes it a little bit more challenging in the support department is we can't see inside of your phone because it's an app. So we can answer general questions, but I will tell you I've used the Kubacasa support, which can be found right inside the app. I've used it 3 times now for just kind of general questions. I even threw in a trick question because I wanted to see how their support was, and it was fantastic. I got an answer within seconds using their live chat. They are a global company, so even though they're from Norway, they have people all over the globe, so you get help 24 hours a day. So I have to say, even the support was really impressive with Kubacasa. So let's walk you through the sign up. We'll do a real quick scan, and then we'll jump into our next product, the Collaboration Center. So when you sign up, you want to get that 20% off of everything. First of all, you don't want to pay for any of your scans. You don't want to pay for the application. So you do need to sign up a particular way. But don't panic if you already downloaded it and it's already on your phone. You can go back into your settings under MLS settings and just make sure you've added My Real Source, and I'll show you how to do that too. So basically, you're going to create an account, you're going to start your scan, and then get your floor plan delivered to you. Where you can sign up is right in Paragon under the Resources tab, and it will say Kubacasa Floor Plans. All you're going to do is hit sign up. It will ask you, are you an agent? Are you an appraiser? Are you a photographer? You want to make sure that you are choosing agent or appraiser only. Please don't choose any of the other ones because it will try to charge you then. So make sure you're picking I am an agent or I am an appraiser. And then it will allow you to send, you'll put in your contact information. It'll ask you for your name, your email address. It will send an email right to your phone where you can download the app, which looks just like this. So it's pretty easy. You sign up, you scan, and it's done. All right, so they do have some additional features that they just released, as I mentioned. The one that I really do like is the new hotspots. And because we're doing kind of a combo class, I'm not going to take you through that whole video. I'm just going to kind of show you live. I kind of like to see it live myself. So I've grabbed a couple examples to show you real quick. So that's just a little easier when you can actually see it. When you get your scan back, so this is an actual scan that I did of a listing that I recently closed. You have the choice of whether you want to show the room dimensions or not. If you are doing, let's say, new construction, and you have maybe an elevation A, an elevation B, and an elevation C, where the Square footage is different. You know how sometimes elevation A will give you like, you know, just the basics. Elevation B, you get that bonus room, or maybe it's a larger living room. So if you just want to showcase the floor plan itself, maybe in a new construction scenario, you can also just toggle off the dimensions. And then it will just showcase the actual rooms for you. So you can toggle them on or off. It does give you a couple different file formats when it emails it to you. It comes with a PDF in case you want to add it to your associated docs in Paragon. A lot of people like it there so they can quickly email it out. People can see it. Now in the new collaboration center, your buyers can see it automatically as well. But other people, like myself, like to put it in the photos too. So I want to have that JPEG file so that I can just swipe it. You know, they can be on Zillow and swiping through those photos, and they can see the layout from there too. So keep in mind, again, you can toggle on and off the room dimensions. It will email you the product as soon as it's ready. Again, I've gotten mine in 12 hours, but they guarantee 24. This is also where you can go in, you can quickly edit, you can add a logo if you wanted to, you can go in and maybe change the names, but it's a really easy dashboard. So basically you see all of your orders. And we have a partnership with Nextdoor Photos. Taylor has worked really hard on this. If you haven't taken Taylor's photo class, it's amazing. I actually took it, I think it was about a year ago now, and she showed me things I never knew. I pretty much thought I took good photos before, but then I took her class and I realized I didn't. Meaning that when I would take a photo, for instance, the hallway, it always looked kind of short and dumpy. I didn't know that by just changing your aperture and letting in more light, you can elongate those shots. I also didn't know how to take those little tiny powder rooms where it seems like you either get the toilet front and center or you're stuck in the mirror, right? She'll show you some patented techniques in her 3-part photo class. Well, it's actually 2 parts photo. And then if you finish that, she takes you on a field trip. I know, it's really cool. When I did mine, we went to a Lombardo model. It was $1 million home. It was all beautifully furnished. And she actually sets you up in several hard to photograph areas, and then she'll help you critique your shots. So she's got a photo class coming up in the beginning of the year. It is a great experience. If you haven't taken it yet, can't recommend it enough. It is a free class, but it's one that I promise you'll pick up some great tips. When she's showing you how to take these great photos, if you have photos or if you have a photographer, like I love Nextdoor that she set up our partnership with, not only do you get a discount if you use Nextdoor Photos, being a My Real Source member, but you can also add hotspots. And basically what a hotspot is where you can go in and you can add the photos that you took, or Nextdoor actually does it for you, so that when clients are going through and they're looking at the floor plan and they want to see, well, is that picture from the main bathroom or is that from the downstairs bathroom? They can actually click on the floor plan and they can see a description as well as the photo, and it will actually blow it up large for them. I'm kind of in my dashboard, so it makes it a little bit smaller, but they can actually go around and see the entire home right through those hot spots. One of the benefits, again, Nextdoor actually lays this all out for you. I didn't have to do anything, but if I want to make a change to one, I can actually go in and I can either move where the hotspot is located as the agent. So maybe I don't want it right there. Maybe I want it a little bit more in the center of the room. I can actually change those. And it gives you 26 hotspots, so you can actually move them around the home. So I love that it's all done for me. There's really nothing I have to do. Again, with that Nextdoor partnership. This is kind of an example too of those hotspots. So when they're going through the photos, let's say on Zillow, or they're going through the photos on your website and they go to your floor plan, they can either click through to see where that photo is on the floor plan, which I like, they can just kind of click through here, or they can click directly on the floor plan. It does separate it by levels, but it gives them a way to have a more unique experience to see every single photo and exactly how that plays into the floor plan. All right. So I'm going to kind of switch over to my phone and just give you a really quick just kind of for the sake of time, I'm going to go really fast and show you what the app looks like and how easy it is to use. Taylor, do we have any photos while I go ahead and switch over?
No questions yet, but I'm watching. So if you guys do have any, don't be shy.
All right. Thank you. It's so hard to do that and this too. So I appreciate all of your help today.
And thank you for all of the compliments on my class. So communications about that should be going out probably mid-month, I would think, right? To promote the classes. They're going to be in January and February. So be on the lookout for that.
Awesome. That I really kind of thought I took good photos until I took your class, and then I realized I really didn't. There was so much I didn't know, and I was so glad I took it. So, all right, I'm going to switch my view over here, and if you can just let me, it's a little bit harder to do this, but I like to see it live as an agent. There's something about seeing the real app and how it responds. Can you see that okay, Taylor?
Yes, it looks good.
Perfect. All right. So what I am going to do is I'm going to take you right. And what I did is I just made a real estate folder on my phone because I hate having to try to find apps on my phone, right? I mean, it's just you're scrolling through and scrolling through. So I just made a real estate folder by dragging those different apps into one area. And then from here, I have Kubacasa, and it kind of looks like almost like three little triangles. Now, the hardest part of using Kubacasa, as I mentioned, is really, is really just going in and opening the window coverings, opening the, closet doors if you're going to do the walk-in closet. So it's really just having the house prepped. I tell people, think of it like doing an open house. Turn on the lights, open up the doors, get it ready, and then your scan will be really seamless. So I just opened up the app, and as you can see, it has all of my listings, all of my scans are right here. But in this case, there's also down here under profile. Profile, if you've already downloaded the app and you forgot to use the My Real Source promo and it's trying to charge you, profile is where you're going to go into your account settings. You're going to make sure that you say you're a My Real Source member, so you now get that additional discount. You'll also have their little learning center. They have a couple quick how-tos. It's really so easy. I promise once you see it, you won't even need that. Again, you can go back to your orders, but I really want to just do a new scan. So I'm going to click that middle button. Well, it's basically just going to ask you a couple quick questions. What are you scanning? So is it a townhouse? Is it an apartment style home? And it wants to know because it's going to try to find the location for you, but it wants to know, are the addresses, are the doors very close to each other? So that's kind of why it wants to know what type of home you're about to scan. So I'm just going to say that I am doing a single family home, and immediately it's going to find your location. As you can see, this happens to be my location. If I need to edit it though, let's say it's a suite A or suite B, or the doors, maybe it's a duplex and they're very close together, you can go ahead and hit that pencil icon and you can add in another address too. But this is where I'm going to scan. So I'm going to hit confirm, and it kind of just tells you what I've already said. Prepare the property, open up the doors, open up the window coverings, turn on the lights, and then just walk ahead. Remember, aim at the baseboards. That's really a good rule. You don't want to aim at the ceiling or at the floor. And you do want to be a little bit away from the wall so that you're not right on top of it. So I'm going to go ahead and hit continue. And you can turn these tips off. I just kind of leave them on for the class so you can kind of see it. Kind of just reiterates, don't get too close. If you are too close to the wall, I call them my blonde friendly instructions, which I love. It'll tell you you're too close. Or if I'm moving too quickly, it'll tell you that as well. We'll kind of do it together so you can see it. So we're ready to scan. We're going to go ahead and literally hit our record button. I hope I cleaned up my office. It's a little messy, but bear with me. So if I get too close to a wall, you see how it's giving me that banner. So it's telling me, hey, you're a little too close. I'm going to back away, and basically all I'm doing is I'm walking through my office, and of course I would have the windows open and the lights on, but just for the sake of our scan, you can kind of get the idea. And as I do that, I can even take photos. That little photo button allows me to do a photo while I'm doing my scan so that I can include that in my hotspot. It's really that simple. Normally I would do the hallway and stuff, but we got a lot to go over in this class. So I'm just going to go ahead and say that, yes, I'm ready to finish. And basically it wants to know, okay, are you ready to, if you wanted to pause. Now I tell people it's really not a great idea to pause, because you'd have to start exactly where you leave off. Because if you start off in another room, the person reviewing it's going to be very confused and you're not going to get an accurate scan. So I tell people it's really just easier just to do the whole thing at one time. There is a resume scanning button in case you get a phone call or you do have to stop. But just remember, if you use that, you want to start and stop in that same spot. If I hit continue ordering, I can now go ahead and send this out. And again, about 12 hours, I'm going to have my scan back and I can go ahead and start using it to add my room measurements right into the MLS. If I'm in a place where I maybe don't have great, maybe a great connection, I don't have a lot of bars where I am, I might want to wait and save it for later to send when I do have a little bit more of a connection, meaning that way it doesn't take a really long time to scan. Usually within about a minute, your scan is sent. But if you're by the water or someplace where maybe you don't really have a good connection, that would be something I would probably do, is save it and then allow it to upload when I got home, because then it would take a little bit longer and you want to make sure that you're getting that full scan there properly. So that's really it. It's that simple. And again, you're just opening up your app, hitting your start scan. It's going to find that address. And then you're literally hitting your record button. I tell people, doesn't matter if you start in the basement. Yes, you can include basements, garages. It doesn't matter where you start. You just want to do the floor in a consistent manner, meaning you don't want to go upstairs and downstairs and back upstairs. You want to just do that floor and then go down to the next floor and do that floor. Doesn't matter if you start at the top or the bottom. You just want to do a continuous scan of each level. If you are going to include that outside area, like maybe a pool, or if you're going to do, an outside pole barn, make sure you're doing that as you're on your primary level. You don't want to go upstairs and then outside. It needs to have that full access of that floor. So it sees, oh, I step out, I'm now going into the backyard, and they can see exactly where you walked out of the home, and they can sketch that into your floor plan. All right, so hopefully that helps. I always like to see it, as I mentioned. I think it's a little bit easier when you can see the app itself. At least that works better for me. I have less questions, so hopefully that helped you as well. All right, so now let's go into our next product. I just want to make sure. Taylor, can you see my Kubacasa screen?
I see the hotspots area right now.
Perfect, great. Sometimes when I disconnect from my phone, it doesn't always disconnect. I just wanted to make sure everybody could see it. So where we're going to go next is we are going to go into the all new Collaboration Center. If you haven't taken a look at the Collaboration Center lately, it's got a whole new upgrade. It does some new features. And really what the Collaboration Center is, in case you haven't used it, is a way that you can, I call it set it and forget it, if you will. It's where you can set up a search for a buyer and basically put it on auto drive. So any new listing that comes onto the market that matches your client's criteria automatically goes out to your client. That way it looks like you're working for them 24 hours a day. There are some great new enhancements that they've added to make it even easier. They've even added on a seller side to the Collab Center. And what that is let's say Gary Cheney is helping them find their new home, but he's also got their home listed. Well, in that case, Gary can set them up on the buy side, so they're getting all those new properties, so we can schedule those showings right away. However, if a new house in their subdivision just went up for sale, or maybe somebody reduced their price that would be their competition, they can see that too. So not only is it great on the buy side, but it's also showing your sellers what's going on in their competition or in their direct market. It's kind of like the old listing book. If anybody is old like me and you remember these old products, listing book sort of did that. It told you, hey, somebody changed their price, or hey, this actually closed and here's what it closed for. So it's a way to keep showing, especially as we kind of see this changing market. It's a way to show our buyers and our sellers what's going on in their direct marketplace and what they should be aware of. I know, this summer it seemed like you listed a house and it was gone immediately. I listed a house, had 19 showings in 2 days, 7 over asking offers. I mean, it was beautiful. But in September, I listed a house right around the corner, equally nice. However, we had 1 showing in a couple of weeks. So definitely seeing some areas that are having a little bit of a slowdown. We're seeing a few less showings, a few less multiple offers. And so how are you showing your seller what's going on in their marketplace? And I'm going to show you a great new tool that Taylor just designed to keep your seller in the know of exactly what's going on, how many eyes are coming in from Zillow, how many eyes are coming in from Realtor.com, how is that traffic? Are you getting lots of hits? Are lots of people clicking on it when they're looking on Zillow? It's great if 29,000 people see your listing pop up on Zillow, but how many of them are actually clicking on your specific home? Sometimes it's tweaking the photos, right? Why am I not getting a lot of people to open this? And so I'm going to show you some great brand new stuff that Taylor just designed for us that is live today that you can start using. So let's talk about the big question right now that I seem to get at least once a week. Well, Colleen, what is the difference between the Collab Center and Paragon Connect? Well, the Collab Center is for your clients, but you don't want to have 2 apps as the agent. So Paragon Connect is the agent-facing app. This allows you to see everything that your clients are doing in the Collab Center, but it also allows you to work on your listings, make changes to your listings, upload photos from your phone, insert contacts from your phone. So think of it that way. Collab Center is the client where they're collaborating with you. But then you have Paragon Connect, which is connecting all of your worlds right on your phones. I think that's been kind of a point of confusion, so I just wanted to clear that up. So when I'm going to go in and we're just going to talk a couple seconds about the new things that your clients are seeing in the Collaboration Center. So you can go in and you can see exactly what your client's Collaboration Center looks like. So if I want to see what new properties did Mary Rose get today, and I want to see it just like she's seeing it, or maybe she calls you and says, Colleen, I'm looking at this new house you just sent me today, and you kind of want to know, well, what went out today? You can go right to that client in Paragon. You can click on view and you can see it just like your client is going to see it. So I can see that there are 91 matches that Mary Rose received. If I want to see her new matches, probably from today, I can go ahead and click on new matches, and it's going to take me into what got sent to her today. If she's interested in a property, she can click into the property, and now she sees everything from the room sizes to there's mortgage. They can create a mortgage payment calculator where they can go in and see how much their payment would approximately be. They can, of course, see all of the photos in the gallery style view. By the way, on their phone, it looks even more impressive. It'll actually open those photos so that they're nice and large. But let me tell you what I love most about this now. Up to now, it seems like our clients were able to get more information on places like Zillow and Realtor.com and Trulia than they were getting from us, right? They were able to find things quickly, and it kind of frustrated me that we're all the trusted professionals and they're going to these other places. So I have had really good luck bringing people from these places by using 2 quick things. One, they now can see things like the condo rules and regs, the bylaws, the seller's disclosures, the lead-based paint disclosures, picture sheets, all of those great things that are included in the MLS under associated documents, your clients can now see in the Collaboration Center. They can't see that on Zillow. They can't see it on Realtor.com. So you are giving them more information than they can see other places. And I think it's about time. The other thing that this does is this is also the live MLS database. I can't tell you how many times clients will call and they'll say, hey, Colleen, you didn't send me 123 Main Street, and I saw it on Zillow, and you look it up, and that's because it closed 30 days ago, right? That doesn't happen in the Collaboration Center because it is the live MLS database. It's not a feed, and people aren't going in and claiming the listing, which breaks the feeds. You don't have those issues. So I tell clients, I'm going to set you up like an agent. I'm going to set you up in the MLS, and you're going to be able to see more information than you can actually see on those other sites. You'll be able to see the condo rules and regs. You want to know if you can have 2 fluffy dogs at that particular condo, you can see that in this program. And again, they'll be able to download it as an app, and they will get those immediate notifications right on their phone. Okay, so a couple of things that I love that are different here is, yes, they can go to Docs. They can go in, they can see all of the room measurements, they can see all of the details. They can go into the history like they can on most sites, but they can see, has it been relisted? They can also go to the mortgage payment calculator down below if they want to try to crunch some numbers to come up with their payment. But what I really like about this is, let's say that they really like this house. They want to get in right away to see it. They can go right up here to the top and they can click the favorites button. That favorites button, when they click it, immediately lets me, the agent, know, and on my notifications in my Paragon Connect app, I'm going to see that they want to see this home. Now, generally what always happens to me is I then pick up my phone and I call Mr. Schmegegi and I say, Mr. Schmegegi, when would you like to see it? And he says, hey, I got to call Mr. Schmegegi. I'll be right back with you. And then it's pending, right? So here's a better way. Not only can they immediately alert you by clicking the favorites button, but if they go right to here, they can request a showing time. Now, I tell people, this is not a one and done. I tell them, just don't pick one date. Go down to the comments and give me a couple dates and times so I can make sure that one of those works for me. Once they do that, when I get the favorite, I can see the time that they would like to see that property. Now, here's where it gets really good. So you're probably thinking, well, okay, that's kind of cool. If I go back as the client, let's say that Mary Rose looked at this, she really liked it. She looked at Saxony, she looked at a couple of these, and she's favorited those. They can also create custom tags. Let's say that they're interested in homes, particularly with pole barns, and they want to tag a home, and they can make their own tags. Maybe they want to tag one that, hey, this one had a pole barn. So when they go back to their final, let's say 3 or 4, they can quickly see, oh yeah, this one had the pole barn. That's the one we wanted to go take a look at. They can also leave comments which go directly to you as the agent so you can answer them. These don't go to the listing agent, so you don't have to worry. It comes back to you, their agent, the one who set them up in the Collab Center. But a couple cool things I want to show you that they've added. Let's say that they want to compare a couple properties. Let's say that you've showed them 3 or 4 properties. They're down to their final favorites here. Check a couple of these just to give you a couple examples. When they want to compare those examples, I can click the compare button and it will literally stack those side by side so we can compare which one had more acreage, which one had that additional bathroom. So a little easier for them to keep track of properties and compare them. Maybe they wanted to share a couple of these out with family or friends. They can hit that share button. They can email them, send them via text. They can just copy the link. They can even send them to somebody's messenger on Facebook. Maybe they want to drive by them before they call Gary and say, hey, Gary, these are the houses we want to see today. Maybe they simply want to drive by them over the weekend. They can also go right here and create driving directions to those homes. So it's a little more interactive for them. But let me show you what it does for you, the agent. So in this case, we've got a couple that Mary Rose has favorited. The last thing I want to have to do is get each address and now try to go and schedule them individually. That would be a pain. So here's an even better way. So I can see Mary Rose has 10 properties that she favorited. What if I told you you could schedule all 10 of those properties by simply clicking on the number 10? So if I click on this number 10, what it's going to do is it's going to allow me to start a showing time cart. I don't know if you've ever used the showing time carts, but I love them, and it really makes life a lot easier than scheduling one by one. I hate that. We won't do all 10 of these. We'll just pick a couple here. But I'm going to go ahead and sort these so I can see which ones are active. These are ABOs, so I'm going to not show those right off the bat. We'll make that last, oh, my good friend Lori Brown. Grab Elizabeth. We'll just grab a couple of these. So let's say these are the ones right now that Mary Rose wants to see. So I'm going to go ahead and say that these are the 6 that she favorited. Now, what I want to do is I want to take all 6 of those and easily schedule and see if there's any blackout times. I want to make this nice and easy. I also don't want to have to grab my phone and figure out, where do I want to start? Where do I want to stop? That is such a pain. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to this actions button, and we're just going to send them into showing time. We're going to create a showing time cart, and we're going to tell it what day we actually want to do that. So we're going to say we're going to show these properties on Friday to our Barre buyer. The nice thing is this is going to drop them onto the map, but of course I am never going to drive. Look at how I would be driving 1 to 6 to 4 to, that would be terrible. So what I want to do is I want to put those in a smart route so it makes sense financially for gas and logistically. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with 1. If I want to drag and drop these, maybe I want to drag 1 to 2, 2 to, you can actually drag and drop them in a different order if you need them to be that way. But what I like about this is I can see which ones are go-and shows. So let's say Gary Cheney just got a call and he says, you know what, let's run out on my lunch and take a look at a couple of these. Well, I probably want to start with the go-and show, right? Because some of these are going to need to be confirmed. So I can see Douglas Court here. That might be the one I want to start with. That gives me a little time to get the others confirmed. So not only can I see the go and show, or if it has an appointment that needs to be required, move my other go and show up to the top here, but I can also see the drive time. And now with more and more electronic lock boxes, you get a window of time, right? So we want to make sure that we're giving ourselves enough time to include our drive time. So I can see it's going to take 5 minutes to get from property A to property B, but it's going to take 20 minutes of drive time to get from property B to property C. The other thing I like here is that if there is and actually there doesn't seem to be one right now, but if there was a blackout time, if a seller said they can't do from 12 to 1, I can see that right on this view, which makes scheduling it a whole lot easier. I can also see if the agent doesn't allow overlapping showings. I can see if there's a showing taking place. Then when I'm ready to go ahead and pick my times, I just pick my time. I can see I only need 5 minutes of drive time, so I can make this relatively close, and I can pick my next time. So it makes it really easy for me to schedule these. Now I see I need 20 minutes of drive time here, so I'm going to schedule that a little further out. This will also tell you, and you can obviously adjust your times here. This will also tell you if you need access to like a Sentry lock. It will tell you when you're going into this scheduling. If you do see this reminder, this is a helpful reminder that we just kind of want to keep reminding people that you do and are required now to have a buyer representation agreement before showing houses. So if you get this, it's just kind of a helpful reminder to say, hey, make sure you have one of these in place before showing those homes. And then once you have all of your requests set up, you just hit send requests and they can all go out for confirmation so that you can start showing those properties. If you're like me and you get all the way to this step and you're running out the door, you got it all scheduled and you think everything is good, and they call you and they say, Colleen, great news, we just found 3 more houses. You can always go back and add another listing. You simply hit the listing stop, put in that listing MLS ID, and it will add it to your tour. If maybe you're showing a for sale by owner in here somewhere that's not in the MLS, or maybe maybe Gary's going to take a few clients out to lunch in between property 3 and 4, maybe we want to click add another stop. That's where you can go in and add an address of a for sale by owner, or maybe a restaurant, so that you can include that in your turn-by-turn driving directions. So instead of them calling Gary every 5 minutes going, what's the next house we're going to see? What was 3 again? you can actually send turn-by-turn directions directly over to your buyers so they can see the order that you're going in. And again, they would have those directions if you're going to a for sale by owner, or if you're going, taking them maybe to a lunch in between a certain stop. All of that is there for them in one spot. Lastly, you're just going to hit send request, and now I can get those all confirmed. All right, so a lot of advantages of using the new Collab Center. One, it's easier than it's ever been. It is a fully functioning app for your clients to use now. They can download it from the Google Play Store or the App Store. They do, when you're setting them up, I find the easiest way, quite honestly, is just to set up their saved search and send the welcome to them. But if they want to go to the App Store or the Google Play Store and download it that way, you can send them a code that will link them to you. So even if they've already downloaded the app, don't panic. You can still make sure that you're seeing every single thing that they're liking or they're doing in the app. The app also allows them to create their own searches. So here's the cool thing. It's kind of showing you, the agent, everything they're doing in the app, which means if they go in and they create a search, let's say they were looking in Utica, but now they're expanding their search to Rochester. And just like any other app, they can use their finger and search that Rochester area that they're interested in. But you get that notification. So you now know that they've added some area that originally wasn't included in your search. Maybe they went in and changed their price range. It also sends you that notification so you can make any adjustments. And you know, oh, it looks like they are gonna bump up their price range a little bit. They can go in and do their own searches. Again, they can create their own tags, but you, the agent, are in the know and can see exactly what they're doing in their site. Another thing I wanted to show you, they've also added a Near Me button. So when your client, when they download the app, if they're standing in front of a listing, and let's say Gary Cheney's just got this beautiful new waterfront listing and they're standing in front of it, they want all the details, but not for the listing agent, right? We don't want them to have those details. We want them to see Gary's information. So when they click that button, it gives them all of the property details, but it's only giving Gary's contact information. So that's sort of the nice thing about getting them in the app. One, they can see more than they can see on any of these other sites. Two, it's connecting you, so you're seeing everything that they're doing. And three, it's keeping your face in front of them. So a lot of good advantages to the new Collab Center. But if you're like me, let me just say, I seem to always get the kind of special buyers. And if you're like me, sometimes you have to have your workarounds that work in real life. It'd be great if you could automate everything, right? And every real estate deal was perfect, but that is not real life. So I'll give you a good example. So closing up a property just a couple of months ago, nicest lady, we just became friends through the whole transaction. One of those transactions you really hate when they buy because you really enjoy hanging out with them. And so she was telling me her sister was getting ready to buy and she had passed along my contact information. I was so grateful. I thought, a referral at the table, can it get better than that? And she was so nice. I was sure that this sister would be as well. Actually, the complete polar opposite, if you really want to know. Our second call went something like this. She said, Colleen, if you send me one more home with yellow siding, I'm going to fire you and get another agent. And I was a little taken back because I don't ever remember her mentioning anything about yellow siding. And by the way, there's no button in the MLS that says remove all yellow siding, if you know what I mean. So how do you deal with those types of challenges when you're automating things? And what you can do is kind of what you see at this top line. You can set up an agent preview. An agent preview simply sends everything to you, the agent, first. Then I can see, does that have yellow siding or not? And then I can decide if I want that to immediately go to the client or not. So when I see that I have maybe a little more of a special buyer, I can click on that number 3. And I can say, oh, yeah, this has white siding. Think we're good here. We're going to go ahead and check that one off and we'll approve it. And now that's going to go on to the client. If I see, oh, wait, this looks like yellow siding right here, let's not send that to the client, we can simply go in and disapprove it, and they will not receive that one. So it's a way to kind of automate that process if you've got more of a challenging buyer or someone who's looking for something very particular or unique. Now, I know I'm going over this at a really good clip, but we have an entire Collaboration Center class that shows you step by step how to go through and set up someone in the Collab Center so they start getting those notifications. So we'll literally walk you through adding in a client using the seller side as well as the buy side. So don't be overwhelmed. There's a whole class for all these special scenarios in the Collab Center. One more thing I wanted to show you here though, if you have, let's say, a husband and wife who want to share a Collab Center account, you want them both to get the notifications. You want them to be able to communicate, and talk to each other through the app. You can actually add a secondary person. So you could add that spouse, and you could make sure that they're getting those new notifications as well. Remember, I said if they've already downloaded it, there's also a code that you can provide to them that will connect their account to you so that you can see everything that they're doing in their Collab Center. You can add multiple searches on for your clients. Maybe they're looking for some hunting land as well as maybe a fixer-upper. And so you can put both of those searches in there so they can see everything. There's also some great new, I can't say too much just yet, but there's also some great new CRM tools that are going to be coming. One of the things that you can see is that you can go in and add your own custom groups. My son goes to a little Catholic school here in Richmond, and I like to keep track of, a lot of times I'm sponsoring things, different events. I like to keep track of how many leads are coming in. Are they a listing lead? Are they a seller or a buyer lead? And did they come in from Jake's school? And I like to keep track. So when I'm doing my Christmas cards at the end of the year, I can actually create labels right out of Paragon. So a lot of great things that you can do there. You can also do agent recommended. If you're not familiar with what that is basically another way that you can automate it, but still have a little wiggle room. And what I mean by that is, and this is a true story, this just recently happened. I had a first-time home buying couple that must have said to me, I'm not exaggerating, if they said it once, they said it 30 times. We're only going to live in St. Clair Shores. Don't show us anything outside of St. Clair Shores, Colleen. We're only going to live in St. Clair Shores. We like the parks. We like the people. We like the area. We're only going to live in St. Clair Shores. So you know what happened? They bought outside of St. Clair Shores, right? Because a lot of times you, the agent, you know more what they're going to end up buying in this market than sometimes they do. So what happens in the agent recommended category, just gonna save that. The agent recommended category, one of my very best friends, Dawn Waldrop, who happens to be a manager, we were having breakfast and she starts telling me about this new listing. And immediately as she's telling me, every bell and whistle in my head is like, oh my gosh, this is their house. This is the house. And the problem was, it wasn't in St. Clair Shores. It was literally 3 streets outside of St. Clair Shores. But I knew just from what she was describing that I just had to get them in this house and it was a done deal. Sure enough, I did an agent recommended, which is where you can go in and add a listing that maybe didn't come up in their automated search, meaning it wasn't in St. Clair Shores like I set them up with, right? Because that's only where they were going to live. But I did add it to the agent recommended. They walked in, they loved it. We wrote it right there at the kitchen counter and we closed it 30 days later. So it does happen. Even though we're automating these things, we do need the agent workarounds because a lot of times we know, again, a house that they may be interested in, or we need to preview them before they go out. So there's all these great tools in the Collaboration Center that allows you to set it and forget it, but still gives you the agent upper hand, so that if a situation like that arises, you have those tools. So a whole lot there. Okay, so that is kind of Collaboration Center and some of the changes in a nutshell. One last thing is, and somebody just asked me this the other day, and so I wanted to bring it up. If you have a client that called you and said, I didn't get that house, you have a message history of every single house that gets sent to them. So if they say, you know, that house that you were talking about, I don't think I got that. Well, you can see the time and date that everything went out, and you can see the actual house and resend it if you need to. So keep in mind, everything that goes to them, it is tracking that. So if they didn't see something, or they call you and they say, you know what, that house with the yellow siding, we didn't think we were going to like it. We drove by, it's super cute. We want to see it now. You can go back and still find that particular listing. And of course, I can now text it over to them or resend it to them easily. So it's all being tracked in there. So that brings me to my favorite subject, Paragon Connect. So I'm going to have to give you a real quick history lesson, because I'm just going to be honest, as an agent, when I first tried Paragon Connect, I hated it. There's no nice way to say it, but there's a reason that we all hated it, but I didn't know. So I'm going to share it with you. So basically, we all had this product called HomeSnap. Anybody familiar with HomeSnap? Does anyone miss HomeSnap like I do? Because that was a great product. Loved HomeSnap. It did stuff that no other app did. Like, you could literally open up the app and walk the property lines of a listing and see exactly where the property started and stopped. It would put arrows on the ground in real time, so you could actually see, is this tree on my property or their property? You could go in and edit your listing on the fly. It was just a great product. I loved it. Matter of fact, all of our instructors that were on staff, we all loved it. And 90% of Paragon users across the country, not just here in Michigan, they were all hooked on HomeSnap too. So when we started building new integration for Paragon, we started building that in HomeSnap. So when we come up with this idea, like, want to be able to change our listings and do this and that, we would put it in HomeSnap. And it was going great. Until Homes.com decided, their own words, they were going to give Zillow a run for their money, and they were going to be good competition, and that was great. They did just that, but they bought the HomeSnap app because they didn't want an app that would be really good competing with their Homes.com app. With 2 months notice, we got the news that they were literally killing the HomeSnap product. Now, you know, the problem is 2 months is not a lot of time in technology world to build a new product. Now, Paragon did have a Collab Center app, but we were really investing everything in building into HomeSnap. So what happened was that really left us without a fully functioning MLS mobile app. So that's why if you clicked on it in the very initial stages, it wasn't fabulous. I mean, they had to build everything from the ground up. So I know a lot of people like myself, we tried it and we said, yeah, nope, that's not HomeSnap. And quite honestly, I miss HomeSnap. It was a great product. And I know Homes.com said that they're going to add some of that functionality, but it's been 3 years and it still ain't there. So I'm just telling you. So what we decided to do is the Paragon Connect app, we were going to have a great app, but it was going to take a little bit more time. And they obviously had to build a lot of what was already existing in HomeSnap into this app. So I'm happy to say, if you've not looked at it in the last couple of months, it's done a complete 180, and it now is a very, very good app. And it does things we couldn't even do in HomeSnap. But the problem was, because so many people tried it day out of the gate, it didn't have all the functionality. And a lot of people said, yeah, I really don't like it. And I can't blame you, because that's what I was thinking. But it has a lot of great functionality now, where you can literally pull in a contact. And I did this. I wanted to see if it actually worked. So I went in, pulled a contact right out of my contacts in my phone, was talking to a friend at, well, we have a little tiny town here where I am. And so I'm at Kroger, and she said, you know, I'm ready to start looking again. You know, we stopped, we had the baby, now we want to look again. Literally, I can pull a contact from my phone, set up a quick save search, took me about 30 seconds. And while I'm standing there, she received the welcome in her email on her phone. So it really has gotten very good. You can actually now edit any field of your listing. You could only enter 3 fields in HomeSnap. Now you can go back in, you can change anything on your listing right from the palm of your hand. But they've also added 2 brand new, you're going to be one of the first groups I show this to, 2 brand new functions that in this market that I think we're headed into, that we're kind of seeing a little bit of change. Not every area, I get that, but we are seeing a little bit of a slowdown. This is going to be a game changer. So let me show you. And I'm going to actually show this on my desktop today. Of course, you can do it on your phone, but I want to show you first we've added Paragon Connect to your desktop. And the reason we did that is we want you to start getting familiar with it. And I promise I'm going somewhere with this, but Paragon meaning Paragon that you know right now that you use, your Paragon MLS, is going to start looking more and more like Paragon Connect, because guess what? Over the course of the next few years, it's not going to be immediate, but over the next few years, those programs are going to be one. So whether you're on your phone or on your laptop, it's not going to matter. It's going to look exactly the same. So obviously we want to start getting people into Paragon Connect to get familiar with it again. So we've put it right here as an icon right on your MLS dashboard. So if I want to go into Paragon Connect, I'm simply going to click on that and it's going to take me right into Paragon Connect. I'm actually going to grab a friend of mine's listing so I can show you some of the new very cool features that Taylor has been working on that we just released. So here with one step. So when you go in, and I'm just going to click on Connect here. I know she's got a listing here that we can use. When I go into Paragon Connect, I'm going to basically navigate the app by the little hamburger stack over here to the left. This is where I can go in, I can access my listings, I can quickly find a property, I can see tax information. If I want to find Cloud CMA or any of the products that are under resources, sign up for Kubacasa, whatever it is, I can go right to resources. So it's going to have the same functionality as Paragon. It's just going to be navigated over here by the left. So what I want to show you, I'm going to go into listings. I want to show you two features that were just released, and I think it's perfect timing. So the first one I want to show you is reverse prospecting. Now, I know everybody hates reverse prospecting. I was not a big fan of it myself until very recently, because this is sort of a game changer. This is not the traditional reverse prospecting. If I go up to the listing section and this published button, oh, looks like our listing is not active. I thought it was still active, but maybe not. Nope, I guess I can't. I was going to show hers, but I guess it's not. I think she did accept her offer. Let me grab somebody else. I just talked to her yesterday and she said it was still. You know what? Actually, if anybody has a listing that they want to give a little exposure to, if you want to throw that in the questions box, we can use somebody's listing that maybe you want to draw a little attention to. Taylor, let me know if anybody pops an address in the questions box. If not, I'll grab Dawn's.
Okay. Yep. There is a really good question. Actually, there's a lot of good questions that have come through that I'll kind of save to the end. But one question is, when you're in Paragon Connect and is there a way to just print that list of search listings or matches if they didn't want to send it digitally, but they did want to print a hard copy right in Paragon Connect? That was one question.
Let me go back. You should be able to print it, the properties that you pull up, but let's go back and check, and maybe I might be missing something. Yeah. So let me go back and we'll do that, and we'll use that as an example, because I'm not exactly sure which screen they might be referring to.
I know obviously in Paragon Pro, but I wasn't sure how easy it was to find, or even if it was there in Connect or not.
Sure. Okay. So we're gonna use Dawn's. We'll use Dawn's listing here. So
I'll see the show.
Good.
Yep. Okay. So Marty was the first one that came through. Address is 1724 Middle Point Drive, Alger, Michigan. Alger, Michigan.
All right. And what's Marty's last name?
Drabing.
Spell that for me.
Drabing. Okay.
All right. So I am going to pause here. Let me go ahead and just go
Marty
in
with an I instead of a Y.
Okay, perfect. Bear with me one second while I switch over here. Thank you. I appreciate it. I always love when we can actually use somebody on the call, especially right now when we're all trying hard to give a little more exposure to our listings. Okay, here you are. I love when a plan comes together. Okay. All right. So Marty, here is your Paragon Connect. So your little icon right here. So I'm going to go in as you. And I go over here to the left again to listings. All right, perfect. And it was your middle point. So thanks for letting us use that. And let's take a look. Wow, beautiful. I am guessing, it almost looks like it's located, it looks like you've got beautiful woods behind you, and it looks like it might be located by the water with those beautiful viewing windows, I'm guessing. So let me start here. So since we're looking at this listing, there are great new photo editing. I think the photo editing in Paragon Connect is actually better than Paragon proper, meaning you have a few more editing tools. But one I want to show you is there is a new price analysis tool. And let me kind of tell you what that's for real quick, and then we'll jump into reverse prospecting. Sometimes there is a sweet spot in price reductions. And what I mean by that is I had a listing just recently that we were at $499. Actually, no, we were $505. And I wanted to know if we reduced the price, how many more eyes would we actually get? And so what this price analysis tool does is it tells me right now that Marty has a great listing because there are 91 buyers right now currently in Paragon who have a match with this listing, meaning right now there are 91 actual clients that have been set up in the last 6 months that have criteria that's looking for that matches Marty's house. So right here, what I see is that there are 91 potential buyers set up in the system, but how many more would we get if we bumped that maybe just under the 330 mark? Sometimes there's a sweet spot. Now, sometimes there's not. Sometimes, it only goes up a couple. But the other day I had an example. They lowered the price 5,000. They got 25 more buyers that were set up in the system already. Now, that's a lot. That means 25 more people in the system would immediately get that new property with that price. So sometimes it's finding that sweet spot. So let me kind of show you what I mean. So, and I'm not going to do this, Marty, so don't panic. I'm not changing your listing price, but I'm going to go to this price right here, and I'm going to say, what happens if we make this $329.9? Let's recalculate it and see how many more buyers would we actually get just by dropping that price a little bit further. So still 91 really wouldn't make sense to drop that price at that point. You're still right. You're still seeing the same people. But what happens if we drop it? And I'm doing this on the fly, so normally I try to have an example. What happens if we drop it to 309? Would we pick up a lot of new buyer eyes? So I'm going to go ahead and drop it to 309. How many more buyers? So only 5 additional buyers would be what we picked up. Now, again, some areas we picked up, 25 new buyers by just dropping it 5,000. Those are great examples. But if you're sitting with a seller and you're trying to get a much needed price reduction, or as now we call them price improvements. I'm old, so we used to just call them price reductions, right? You can actually sit with them and you can show them. And sometimes, now I would do this ahead. I would know if I'm walking in and asking for a price reduction, I would want to make sure I'm getting a lot more views, a lot more buyers that are set up. Now, 96 is a lot of people that have been set up in the last 6 months. So she knows that she's getting a good amount of traffic because you can see how many buyers are looking for a home that matches that criteria. But the reason I'm kind of taking you on this tour is, one, it's great to know is if there is a sweet spot, you can see that here. So if you are asking for a much needed price reduction, a lot of times just bringing it down a few thousand gets you a lot more eyes. She's already getting a lot of eyes. So let's actually go into our next example, which is reverse prospecting. So reverse prospecting, I'm going to go up to this published button. So we have 91 people right now that we know are set up in the system for Marty's property. So I'm going to go ahead and click on middle point here. And the thing to know about reverse prospecting, back here just for a second, is when you're doing this, I think the thing that kind of confuses people is there's two different lists. And I'm on the beta test for this, but I kind of want to point this out because I do get a lot of questions every week on this. If I wanted to go in and change something, if Marty wanted to go in and change something on her Middle Point Drive, she could literally click on the listing over here in the listing column. She could use that price analysis tool I just showed you. She could schedule an open house. She could go in, maybe she wants to add some additional comments or remarks. Maybe she wants to change her remarks. Maybe she's adding an open house. She could do all of that on her phone now right from here. So that's kind of a list of all of your listings. However, if you're going to do something with a particular listing, then you're going to go to this published button. And because Marty's got this beautiful listing, she wants to use reverse prospecting. She's going to find that property. She's going to go over here to these three little menu dots, and a flyout window is going to appear. She wants to use the reverse prospecting for this listing. Now, here's what gets really cool. When I did my own, we only had, I think it was around 60. I wasn't getting near the eyes that she has on this property. But it told me that 9 agents in my own office had a client set up that matched my listing. So when I'm at my office meeting, which was the next day, I reached out to those 9 people and I said, hey, I see that you have a client. Now, I don't know their client's name. So let me be clear, because I think this kind of freaks everybody out a little bit. I'm never going to know I'm going to know the agent, but I am never going to know who their client is. All I have is a reverse prospecting number. But here's what I really like about this. I see the agents over here. Actually, this is Kristen. We know Kristen. So if I wanted to reach out to Kristen and ask her, a question, I could immediately be connected on my phone to her. I can see where she works. I can see how many clients that they have. Some of them have multiple clients that meet that criteria. I can also, like this person has 1, 2, 3, several. Carrie Gerber, we know Carrie Gerber. So I can see, wow, she has a lot of clients that have a prospect that matches. So Marty, here's what I'm telling you. I would be reaching out to these people. So you've got 91 agents. Here's where it gets really cool. Over here to the right, I can see when the match went out to their clients. So I'm going to guess that you probably listed this property right around the beginning of November, because I can see it immediately matched a lot of clients. I can see that Carrie Garber has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 prospects set up in the system. Another cool thing is if your clients have favorited, that's kind of why I wanted to use Mary Rose's today. When I was showing Mary Rose this, a good friend of mine, she was getting ready to take a lowball offer. And she said to me, you know what, it just turns out we're going to end up having to take a lowball offer because we're just not getting a lot of traffic. The day before, this got sent to a client who actually favored it, because you can see the day the match got sent. You can see this one went out to the client on the 20th, this one went out on the 12th. But what happens is you can see if they favored it, if they reject it, if they didn't like it, if they did like it. I don't see any in this list that have favored it, but it also was an indication to her to reach out before accepting that lowball offer. If that client just said they liked it and they haven't had a chance to get in there yet, she did. She reached out to that agent. The agent got them in and they did end up writing an offer. I don't know if it turned out to be better or not, but it's a really good example of seeing that information, knowing that it just went out to a client who really liked it the day before, helped her get them in before taking that. She hadn't ever used this. She would have never known that they got it and liked it. So these are all those really great tools behind the scenes that really can help us. So if, let's say we want to reach out to these agents and we want to let them know maybe you had a price improvement. Maybe you want to put a feature sheet of everything that this home is going to include. You can individually email an agent and tell them even more about the property and let them know that they have a client that matches, and here is that client number. So if I want to individually email a particular agent, I can check off that agent. And I can actually add things like links to flyer to. You can add photos, you can add links. I put my feature sheet in here with all the things that I couldn't get into the MLS. All right, let me just ask the question that's on everybody's mind right now. Can you put in commission or compensation? The answer is still no. It cannot go into the MLS. And this, remember, is the MLS. So no, you cannot put commission in there. You cannot put compensation in there. However, it is really good. Maybe you have a carpet allowance, or maybe they're redoing the roof. Maybe you have a feature sheet of all the things that you couldn't even fit in the MLS. This is a great place to put that. I do my feature sheets in Canva, and then I have a picture and then a link out to Canva so they can see everything about that home. And basically, yes.
Once you finish this, can you just show again real quick where that button is to under the publish to show reverse prospecting, because it's a little tricky.
Sure, it is, and I apologize. That is one thing I wish that they would make a little bit easier, and so hopefully down the road they'll make it a little more seamless so it's not two different places. So yeah, let me show you how I got there. So
and show the price analysis off in the right too, just in case. Thank you.
Sure. Okay, no problem. So I went in under Marty. Thank you again, Marty, for letting us use your beautiful listing. So I went to listings. All her list of listings is right here. Okay, so I can see her listings. If I click on this listing from the listings over to the left, this is where I would find if I wanted to change anything on the listing, if I wanted to use that price analysis tool, I'd go up here to the menu dots, price analysis. This is where I could go in and tweak that price to see. Let's see what we would get it to. Let's say $299. Let's recalculate. How many more eyes would we get? 115. So we did pick up more by dropping that price. Again, if you wanted to apply that new price, you could do that as well. I won't do that because I'm sure that Marty's going, oh, please don't touch that button. So, but you can go in and again, see how many eyes. So let me kind of just point out exactly what Taylor's saying. Under listings, there are two sections, and you want to be aware. Anytime you want to make a change or use the price analysis tool, that's going to be kind of a listing change. That's going to go from here. However, if you want to do something like reverse prospecting with that listing, that's when you're going to go to the published button. You'll only find it there. So you're going to click on the published button, those menu dots that appear right here. And over here is my reverse prospecting. Now, what if we want to send it to all the agents? As you can see, we've got a lot of agents that match this. Carrie Garber, I think Ivy was in here as well from the Claire Gladwin board. So we've got, Ivy Baker. So we've got a lot of agents here that have, if I want to send my feature sheet and all the details of why this is a great home and let them know they have a prospect match, I can go right over here. I don't have to check them all individually. I can just go right over here to the email button, and it will send it to all the reverse prospecting agents that have been found. And again, I can add my photos, I can add my links, feature sheets, details that would help get this sold. Now, one thing that I want to point out here, and this question just came up, so as I was thinking about it, I was like, wow, that's a really good question. The question was, okay, so we've got 91 matches right now, but tomorrow, let's say I go in and I put a contact in here, and now I want to know, well, I don't want to keep emailing everybody every day, right? You're not going to reverse prospect every day. And how do I know who I sent the reverse prospecting to? Because if I've got 5 more people in here, how do I know who got it and who didn't? Well, the good news is new matches are always going to be here at the top, but every email that you send out, whether it's the Collab Center, whether it's reverse prospecting, is always tracked in the My Content. Remember how I said you can go back and you can see how many messages got sent, who it got sent to. So I can go into the message history and I can see that a link to a listing was sent out. I can actually see that she texted the listing out. It says SMS. That's basically you text the listing to someone. You sent links. If I were to have reverse prospect to these people, then that would be here as well. And it would show who that went out to. So keep in mind, not only is reverse prospecting there, but everything that's being sent out is being tracked, so you can go back and you can view who it got sent to and when they received it. All right, did that help a little bit? Now, there is so much that you can do in Paragon Connect, and this is certainly the tip of the iceberg. You can go in, you can do property searches. I can see all of my clients in here. I can see their Collab Center. I can see when they last logged into their Collab Center site. I can type in an address and find it. I could be standing in front of a home and get all of the details. So basically, this now is your agent-centric app. You can see what your clients are doing in the Collab Center. You could go in, you could actually go in and add an entire new listing. I don't think you'd want to, but if you wanted to go in and add an entire new listing, you could do that too. Under resources, of course, you'll still find all of those like Showing Time, Cuba Casa. Remember, that's where you want to sign up for your floor plan app. If you're using ZipForm, you'll find the login for that. CE Marketplace to check your Con Ed credits. So all the great tools that you have under resources right now, you have in Paragon Connect. So don't be afraid to start going in and checking that out. Reverse prospecting and the price analysis tool, they are only available by going into Connect. They're trying to get you to start looking at that again. And again, as those two products eventually become one over the course of the next few years, that's where you'll see it. Okay, so by now you're probably thinking, oh my gosh, lady with the fuzzy hair, you talk so fast. How am I going to remember all this? Well, the good news is we recorded this entire class for you, because when you're trying to use reverse prospecting 3 months from now, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, what did that lady say? So here's where you find that. I'm going to go back to me so I can actually show you. Thank you again, Marty, for letting me use your listing. It's always nice when you pull it up and it's a pretty listing too. So that was definitely a bonus. All right, so I'm going to go back to me just so I can kind of show you where to find this class. So under resources, this is where you can go to recorded webinars. And it basically just takes you to our YouTube channel. That is going to be where you can click on videos and you can see all of our classes. We record almost every class, not every, but almost every. If you wanted to get more time-saving tips out of Paragon, we have that class. If you're looking for just an entire Cuba Casa class, we have that. My good friend Lisa Harris teaches an amazing public records class, how to create your sphere of influence and send out marketing. A whole class on setting up a search in the Collab Center for your buyers. It's all there. All you have to do is click on the class that you're looking for. We also have some exciting new classes, as well as Taylor's photo class coming up in the beginning of the year. You can find those under resources too. If you go to our education corner, this is like an online digital catalog of all of the classes. All you have to do is find the class that you're looking for. Let's say it's Taylor's photography intro on January 8th. Just click here to register and you'll be signed up for her class. And I promise you'll really, really like that one. Okay, lastly, I'm going to show you this, and I have to give all of the credit to Taylor for this, because in this market, and I know we're running about 4 minutes over, so if you bear with me another 2 minutes, we'll get you through this. In this market right now that we're seeing, and I'm going to use you, Marty, again. Should have just stayed in there. Second. In this market that we are, actually, that won't work because we haven't put that up pretty good yet. I'm trying to think if I can use John real quick. I'm trying to give you a specific example here. And while I type her in, Taylor, is there any other questions you want to throw out there?
I think it was just the one about, she kind of clarified a little bit, is printing a client view of a listing, not just a list within Paragon Connect.
Okay, so we'll go back to that one. Let me just show you real quick the listing activity report, and then we'll go do that example next. So the listing activity report is something that I think is going to be extremely helpful over the course of the next phase of the market. And what I mean by that is right now sellers want to know, especially if we're not getting a lot of showings. And, for years, sellers have heard multiple offers, over asking offers, multiple. So that's what they think, right? They think right now they're going to put their home on the market, and guess what? You're going to have 25 over asking offers and 19 showings in 2 days. And it's, because that's what they've heard for so long. So how are we talking them off the ledge, right? When they're saying, well, shouldn't I have, all these showings, and shouldn't I, what's going on? Are people seeing my home? Do you have it on all the sites? And I know, because that's what's happening to me right now. So what we did is we created a way in one easy to view report that you can show your sellers exactly what you're doing for them. And you're going to be able to now, and this is brand new. So I just want to caveat, we're still beta testing it. This is only going to be available for the My Real Source members at this point. It is coming to everybody down the road. So we're just kind of basically beta testing it and getting it out. So any feedback we get, we can make it seamless before it goes to our vendored MLSs. Because I know we have a lot of people from Claire Gladwin and UPAR and Midland. So you won't see this just yet. And that's why I kind of saved it till the last. But basically, the single property website that Taylor worked so hard on was something that was created. And let me just show you an example. Was something that was created so you could easily share your property out onto social media. They can quickly see all the details of the property. You could share it to Facebook. You could you could put it on LinkedIn. You could share it via email or put it on Twitter, or now X, I guess. And it would only showcase you and your other listings. So it wasn't like you were working really hard and you were giving away your listing. Because a lot of times when you post it on Zillow or Realtor.com or these other sites, you know what? You're sharing your listing, but you're giving somebody else the lead, and that has never made sense to me. If I'm going to work really hard and take great photos and take great information, I want to share it in a way that the lead comes back to me. So we created this single property website. Now, some of our vendor MLSs already have this turned on. However, there's a new piece. So that's what I want to show you, and I want to leave you with that. There's a new piece called Listing Stats that's going to appear right underneath your property inventory links, your single property website. When you click on Listing Stats, watch how cool this is. It's going to show you. So this is Dawn's brand new listing. She listed it on 11/17, and if she wants to know how many people saw this on Zillow, she can see on Zillow, the search impressions were 13,731. On Realtor.com, search impressions, which means someone went in and was searching for something that would match this. So here we have 14,233. So we know right here, Realtor.com is outperforming Zillow. If I'm going to invest maybe where I want to do some advertising, this is a really good thing to be checking, right? But you can also see more. If I go into the detailed report, let's say I want to know, let me see a little more information about what's going on Zillow. So I can see how many people viewed it in the last 7 days. So 918 people, 1761 in the last 30 days. As I scroll down, I can see the click-through rates. I can see key metrics. But what else is really interesting, go back here, I can also see how many people actually clicked on the listing, average daily views. So it actually breaks it down. So if you sent this over to your seller to show them what you're doing, so how many eyes am I getting? Yeah, I might not have got a ton of showings, but I've got 14,000 eyes coming in from Realtor.com. I think this is going to be really important as we go into our next market. Now, as I mentioned, we just turned this on. It's brand new, and this was really Taylor's baby. She really did a great job with this. One thing that's going to be added here in the next, and I'll let Taylor give you the ETA on it, but it will be where you can actually just send it directly to the seller, meaning you can send it once a week, once a month, but you can kind of set it and forget it, that same thing, where I can set it so it's automatically going to go and show the seller what I'm doing, how many eyes I'm getting in. So I think that's going to be really, really crucial. I don't have the ETA exactly on that. Taylor, do we have an ETA on when the frequency report will be done?
I just reached out about a week and a half ago, so hopefully this week I'll have an update on that, but unfortunately I don't know exactly when. But it would really just be a share button, and then you can add your contact's name, and then for it to come in their email, so that it just goes, that link goes to them weekly. So it shouldn't be too long because it's not, you know, too complicated of a build. But yeah, I don't have an exact date or anything just yet.
All right, good to know. So back to that last final question. I wasn't evading it. I apologize. I was just trying to get through all of that and kind of do it so I didn't have to bounce everybody around. So for the printing, I'm trying to see if I can. It doesn't really look like it does give you an easy way to print out. And I'm assuming we're talking like save searches and properties, or are we just talking properties all together? I'm not exactly sure where the question was in the presentation, so I guess I will just
Yeah, I'll yeah, so it just said printing a client view, so I wasn't sure. She did have to jump off, so she said she'll try to catch this later, but printing client view of a listing, not just a list. So I'm not sure what the client view exactly is. If it's, I'm trying to think like what the match would be in Paragon Pro versus this, because you know, obviously you can share. So I'm not sure if it was, she said Paragon Connect, but I am not sure if maybe Collaboration Center would be that list when you're going in. So I know within Connect that's not really there. So
you know, and I think
you're
I'll
better
reach
at
out to her because
so I wanted to make sure maybe there's something I was missing.
No, you know, because I'm not sure I understand what she was trying to do. So I think I'll just reach out to her on that one, just to make sure I'm answering her question. Because I hate not, you know, it's like coming in at the end trying to figure out what she was really asking for. So I'll reach out to her directly. But thank you again for manning all of the questions. That was really super helpful. I couldn't have done that and all the bouncing around too. So I appreciate it.
You did great.
Thank you. It's a lot to get into the class for sure, but hopefully you feel like you are a little more familiar with some of the apps that you're going to want to have on your phone. So again, Collaboration Center for your clients, Paragon Connect for you. You certainly want to make sure that you have Kubacasa and the new Showing Time on your phone, so that you can easily work from anywhere and basically what you need to know on the go. So hopefully that gave you kind of a bird's eye view. And remember, you can find that recording under resources. All right, well, that's all I got for you today. I hope you have a great day. Enjoy the sunshine today, and hopefully we'll see you on some upcoming classes soon.